call us to order at 6:30 on the dot, and if we could rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Let some people in here. All right. First order of business is public comment. If there's anyone that is here for Eric? Okay, and then Jamie. Okay,
I'd like to talk about trash.
you've got 3 minutes at the max.
So very much appreciate that we're trying to do something about trash because we've had a recycle problem, a trash problem for years and years. But one of the things that I'm very concerned about is using large bins to actually collect. The problem is it's huge and we're actually not solving the problem that we have. The proposals that I've heard, 96-gallon bins, 64-gallon bins. I've gone through and I've tried to model this to see what it would look like in terms of savings to the town if we use smaller bins. Instead of using 96 or 64, went to a 35. And I'm going to pass out what the results of my model are, and all the assumptions are on the back. But what we will but what we'll see is that we could save up to $60,000 if we use a smaller bin and sort of then charge additional for any additional bins. So sort of the break-even point is a 55-gallon bin. That once we get below there, we're actually saving money by charging people for additional bins. So what I would urge you all to consider is going to more of a, and it turns out that it's more of a sort of hybrid case and throw program where we actually are giving people 20 pounds or so, one bin for free, and beyond that, they end up paying. I think this gets around some of the issues that we've talked about. Towns across the country have found that if they limit the amount of garbage, which is free, then they do see reductions in the amount of garbage that is produced. And similarly, they see increases in recycle rate. And I think that's what we all want to see is the increase in recycle rate and the decrease in garbage. I think we can do that and actually save a lot of money along the way. Thank you.
Oh, okay,
I have some public comment on that.
okay.
Okay, so the problem I have with this, and again, thank you for your help, thank you for the work. It's basically a tax on families. Now, when we first moved to town, we had 3 kids. We filled up 2 bins, 6 garbage bags, whatever, because we had 3 kids. Now that we're older, I'm older, Tom is not. Now that I'm older, the kids are gone, we fill up a lot less garbage, obviously. Okay, but the young family next door, who was an older family when we moved in, now have more kids and more garbage. So you're a 35-gallon container and then charging extra, it's a tax on young people. Okay, it's like the school system. I have no kids in the school anymore. I still pay the taxes for the school because that's what communities do. We pitch in when we're younger or older or whatever, and it's a circle, it's a cycle, okay? As far as recycling rates, we have one of the better recycling systems in the state. The recycling area, okay? Average in the state is 35% recycling. We're at 17. We've been at 17 for years. Well, we were higher, but we're at 17 now. So to say it'll force people to recycle, nobody at this point, the way it's set up right now, no one is recycling. Not enough people are recycling. You're not going to force them to recycle. What's going to happen is they're either going to have to pay an extra tax or they're going to be throwing garbage on the street, which we ran into a lot years ago. And now that's pretty much ended, but it's going to happen again. Well,
I would disagree with you on that, is that, you know, the amount that we would end up charging people who who had additional bins would be, you know, on the order of $100 to $150 a year. So not.
Well, then that's
that
not gonna pay,
But
that's not gonna
Can
pay for the tipping fees.
yes, it will. I mean, you go through the numbers and it would be.
Okay, first of all, this is not a conversation, make your comment
Okay.
and you're done. You're done, okay, Jamie?
I appreciate Don State's comment, and my general impression is that Don has more common sense about things than many people in town. Demonstrated that over years of serving on this board. And I also appreciate Eric's. I think that it represents that there are two sides to this discussion, and I would encourage the administration to have a broad discussion about this before signing the contract with RWS. I've talked to residents, and I've talked to people who've talked to residents who say that they understand that if they generate more costs for the town, thus more tipping fees, that they're okay with spending more. And I've talked to other residents who say, I really want a smaller bin because it's going to be hard to manage that bin down at the end of the driveway. So I do see that there's two sides to this. The tax reduction side, because people tend to fill up whatever you give them. Other towns have demonstrated that. And remember that in recycling, it's reduce first, then reuse and recycle. And anything we can do to help reduce the amount of trash that this town produces will go to meet the state's suggested mandates to reduce first. So I would encourage you to study this more. And since Eric has presented that there is a tax savings by doing smaller bins and charging up, I would strongly encourage you to consider that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the May 7th regular meeting minutes. May I have a motion? It's only you and I- it's only you and me tonight, so. Okay, I'll second. Did you see any concerns or questions with regard to the minutes?
No, they were well done.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, perfect. We have no tax refunds and we have no cemetery deeds for this evening. Russell, I actually ran into Mr. Gagliardi at the carnival. And he said he's trying to get his attorney to move along to get the issue resolved. So hopefully there's something in the not too distant future on that. Solar farm, we're still waiting, correct?
Correct. I actually spoke to the attorney for that represented the residents today,
Mhm.
and we're both making effort to reach Attorney Mashad, who represents the solar company, because we're both getting the same information from him that they're still in negotiations, but they've been in negotiation for
For a while.
7 or 8 months now.
Okay.
Question on that? Is that what the place on Amity
Road
Road?
69,
Okay,
way up past 40.
yeah,
Okay.
by Henry's, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Didn't you say the siting council case had been stayed until
This-
July 1?
July
Yeah.
5 is the stay date. So,
Can we ask for an extension if needed?
yes, I believe they have a one year within which they have to act, and then they lose jurisdiction. So it's never been addressed whether or not that can be consented to, but again, there's no harm to the town. The risk is to the applicant, because if they lose jurisdiction, then the application fails, right?
Okay.
So the applicant would have to refile if he wanted to go back to the first site. The second site will be dealt with at the local level. So the zoning commission, the wetlands commission will deal with it. Going back to the first one, because this was proposed to be under 1 megawatt, there would be no need for a public hearing at the siting council, but the siting council voted to send it to public hearing based on the town's request and everyone else's request. So although that public hearing has not been held yet. So, I suspect that if we run out the clock, no harm to the town. It's just, they can continue their negotiations for as long as they want, and if those negotiations fail, they'd have to refile their application.
So
But
we're
you-
just gonna hope that it gets resolved over there
Yeah,
first.
but you don't expect them in 4 weeks to start the process over at the
No.
first site
No.
yet.
Can't imagine
Henry
that
said,
they will.
well, once they become the owner, then they're gonna file their applications with wetlands and then zoning.
So I don't think we have to worry about
Yeah,
that
no,
more road at this point, so that's what he's basically saying.
right,
Simpson property, we're still waiting for Carrington property to be,
right, so there was a delay, because the town purchased Carrington property back in 2015, but there was a failure to obtain proper title for the state, a title policy. So, I got everything to the, agent at Deep. They've now sent it over to the Attorney General's office for review. We're waiting for that to come back.
once again, we wait. So, the next item on the agenda is Girl Scout Gold Award Blessings Box. Apparently, this was approved in 2018 and it was constructed next to the donation boxes outside of recycling center. I was sent. Give me a minute to get my bearings there. I was sent some pictures. This is what it looked like closed. There's a box, it's on stilts, it's on, okay, and inside is a bunch of canned goods. Okay. My understanding is, I don't know who was actually monitoring this, but I know our Public Works Department a couple of times a year goes in there and checks it and cleans it out and has found rusty cans, swollen cans, expired cans. I'm concerned because it is on town property that it's a liability for the town, that this food is sitting in that full weather conditions. And I don't know the Wisdom has a food pantry. So I don't know if this person, this Girl Scout, I mean, this was 5 years ago. I don't know. She could be out of college at this point. Yes, as long as you silence the phone.
Okay. So, I actually at the Selectmen's meeting approved this project back in 2018. It was a Girl Scout, like an Eagle Scout. They have a gold award, whatever they call it. It was gonna be a donation box for food pantry. They were supposed to put a sign up, bring food, give food, take food, whatever. A sign never went on it. As Paula showed you the picture, it was just a wood box sitting up next to the Goodwill boxes and stuff up at the airport. When we went and paved 4 or 5 months ago, we tried to remove it out of the ground and it was rock. It was just out of wood. So we threw it away. What it was, there was no sign ever placed on it that it was a collection box or a, what do they call it, a
Blessings.
blessings box or a food pantry or whatever. A couple times a year, Tony or even Dave, a couple times would go up there, get the rotted, rusty cans out of it, throw it away. So I spoke to the woman, she was very upset, she started cleaning that if it was a Boy Scout project, whatever. We don't get that. So I told her, listen, I will rebuild it. I have no problem with that. I'll make it look, I'll paint it the same color, everything else. But I don't feel that it's the proper place to put it without anybody knowing that there's actually food in it. So I haven't, I talked to Paula said. "Oh,
And I don't know
not
how
the
that
right
site
place for
actually,
it."
I don't know how it actually got determined, because when I looked up the minutes, it just said, location to be determined, so I don't
Right,
know
whoever
how that
determined might
location
get
actually
whatever.
came to be.
So I have no problem, I'll build at my home, I had the equipment in the barn to build whatever I have to build, but. Do we want to put it back up at the airport in the sun, in the cold, in the shade, in the winter? Or do we want to maybe see if the church wants it, or do we just tell the woman, sorry, there's really, I mean, a little wood box with a food pantry is not really a
And most of the time,
sanitary thing to do whatever.
and if people reach out to the town hall, we usually direct them to the church. We don't, I wasn't even aware of this box until it became, the woman called. So my biggest concern is that someone takes something out of there that has sat through multiple weather conditions, and even if the expiration date is still good, you don't know what's happened inside that can through hot and cold and whatever, so.
And then the problem is if it's from town property and they get sick or food poisoning or whatever, we're liable, I would think, or something like that. I don't know if the woman can contact the church and set something with the church, the right, what's that, the
Episcopal.
whichever one on the right. They do
Well,
a
it
food
depends on which
pantry.
direction. you're
So if she
going.
can contact them, Congregational Church. If she can contact them maybe, or we'll contact them and I'll put it there. I got no problem with that, but. Somebody has to know it's actually there, there's actually food in it and has
And
to
it's
be
being monitored,
monitored, absolutely.
that's the biggest concern, so Bob, your thoughts? because we kind of have to make this decision here.
I mean, show them the picture with the rusty.
I did, I showed everyone that.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with, the little libraries and stuff too, they're.
Well,
If
you
the
have to get
people
sick
who,
from-
if the people who put them in aren't around to maintain them.
Yeah.
And unless somebody else is gonna take on the,
Well, the woman told me they come up once a year and they paint the box.
You know, if I can just give my recommendation to the board, maybe will help move the question or what you might want to do. You know, if it's not being monitored, so if the town is gonna now take on the responsibility of monitoring it. Because if someone can just open it up and put food in and take food out, you don't know what they're putting in. It could be laced with something, it could be expired, it could be, so that's that ultimately is a liability that you're gonna assume if you allow that. It was I think a nice thought
Mhm.
to do. And maybe at a point in time in history, it might have worked. But in today's world, where we're litigious and concerned about disease and risk of, I'll say poisoning,
Yeah.
or injuring, my recommendation is that you would no longer allow it, since it rotted out and it's no longer in place, that you not allow it. If there's a spot indoors in a building, in a town building where you want to put it, then that's a different conversation. But at this location in the outdoors without being monitored, I think is a liability the town should avoid.
Okay. Bob, hear me out, and then you can change my thought if you want, but I would make a motion to not allow it to be replaced up there where it was. And to maybe allow Don to reach out to this woman and work with her to find another. To see if they'd be interested in working with her with some kind of a pantry.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned, really concerned that the town would be put in a very bad spot if somebody got sick from something that was in one of those boxes, or the box, I should say.
Well, I'll talk to the woman tomorrow and I'll tell her, that I'll rebuild it, but it can't go on town property. It's it.
yeah, and the church may wanna, if they already have a food pantry, they may want the donations to be made. And keep it inside in a,
Well, she's gonna have to deal with the church. I'm not gonna
Right.
deal with that. I'll
Right.
tell the woman, if you want me to, I'll build you a box, I'll bring it to your house. And
Right.
then you figure out where to put it.
So basically, our motion will be that not to on town property,
up at the recycling center there, yeah.
or any town property, because she could put it somewhere else.
It's not, you're not permitting it to be replaced, right? Because it
Right.
was removed because of its condition, so you're just not allowing it to be replaced.
Yep, second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so two of us. Okay, that takes care of that. Next one, I have Vets Park and Airport property. We've had an issue, with dogs running off leashes and people not picking up after themselves. Their dogs, I should not say themselves, that sounds really bad, sorry about that, I meant the dogs. So, we've actually had a couple of instances where I believe Don and Janice have had an issue with a gentleman down there with a dog, and he has been very, very nasty in his responses to, the staff. So, it's gonna be hard to sort of police, but I think if we put something in place that there's a potential fine, it might deter people from not, there are so many signs posted, which is mind boggling, and people don't abide by the signs. Up at the airport, down at the lake, I mean, you can't miss them, and, so, Bob, I don't know, I tried to look up some, statute. There was something in here about, not exceeding like $100 if you're letting your dog, roam free, and could be, intentionally reckless to other people walking. So, thoughts?
yeah, I mean,
We
Is
just
it
have,
on-
now, would
is
it
it
have
on
to
the
be an
sign currently?
ordinance, or how would we, or we could?
Yeah, it would be in the form of an ordinance.
Okay.
So, I
As a
mean,
fine?
what you could do now is, you could just refer the matter to me for the creation of an ordinance for the presentation to the board then can consider it, and then, depending upon what the statute says,
Okay,
will determine whether or not this board has the authority or the town meeting.
okay,
yeah, I mean, for the ordinance, but I'm pretty sure the ordinance has already provide that, the selectmen set the rules and regulations for town properties.
Yeah.
Like when the gates, open
Right.
from sunset. So-
But this is, you're imposing a fine, right? So it's not, the rules, you could set the rules, no dogs
Yeah.
allowed, or dogs must
Do
be
we
on
have
leashes.
signs currently that say?
Yes.
Oh, Well, about leashes,
Right.
absolutely, multiple
Pick up after
signs, so
dog,
it's,
dogs
and
on
pick up
leash,
after, yeah, and we provide even on the path, because I took a walk around the lake with my grandkids the other day, there are multiple receptacles with bags that you can pull out and clean up after your dog and then put it in the receptacle, but, not everybody is doing that.
And who would issue the fine? There'd have to be a
It would
constable.
have-
It would have to be the constable or Dave, whoever, comes across them. It's gonna be slightly hard to monitor because of our patrols. But at least if we have it out there, if you do get caught, you're gonna get $100 fine. Because like I say, this one gentleman has been down there multiple times and Don ran into him and then Janice actually stayed away from him the other day because he was down there again yesterday. And she just didn't want to have to deal with him because he was quite nasty to her the time
Oh,
before,
he's a
so.
nice guy, beautiful dog, and I tried to say, listen, sir, I was with an Xfinity guy, we're going to check out the phones. Definitely afraid of dogs, and the dog came running up, big black German Shepherd, gorgeous dog. And the guy was definitely afraid of him, so I said, dude, do me a favor, put your dog on a leash, my dog doesn't go on a leash. I said, listen, I don't care about you, I said, but if your dog bites somebody, you're putting the dog down. They're not putting you down, they're putting the dog down, so put your dog, you're doing the dog a favor. But he got very nasty about it, so.
Yeah, so I just, I wanna.
You know,
people just
and
follow the
again, it's
rules.
liability. If he bit the Xfinity guy, people won't bring their dogs on it. These guys, not this guy in particular, but a lot of people do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, people love dogs, but a lot of people don't like dogs.
Yeah,
Or the dogs don't,
Don't like
other
people.
dogs, no,
Or
other
whatever.
dogs don't get
Dogs,
along
yeah.
with each other.
yeah, there's a myriad of reasons why the dog should be on a leash.
Yeah.
So,
And if we allow a dog off the leash, we're liable, right? If we know it's happening.
Well, the liability is to the owner, so Connecticut has a strict liability, so if the owner of the dog, if the dog bites someone, the owner is strictly liable. Then the question is, well, it happened on town property, was the town on notice? I mean, the town's just not responsible just because it happens on town property, right? Was the town on notice that there was a danger to the public? You posted signs, dogs must be on leash, and did you do enough to patrol that? And look, there's always, it's gonna be a lawsuit that you're gonna have to defend, but it would go to the carrier, rather than private counsel.
so hopefully though, when the fine gets put in place, hopefully people will abide by the rules and have the dogs on leashes.
Right, and I told Janice, don't talk to anybody about it, because it's not her place or my place to tell the people to put the dog on a leash. Because, we have no authority, well. So, if you're
No.
making an ordinance or a fine, let those constables handle it, or the police handle it.
So motion, Bob,
To have been research,
and create an ordinance with regard to $100 fine for town property with dogs. off the
removed.
Second, any other comments or questions?
Yes, quick question.
Yes.
Can this be piggybacked in our town meeting in 2 or 3 weeks?
We're gonna work on it, he's
If
gonna
Ben is fast
investigate.
enough?
He's gonna investigate whether it has to be whether it has to go to a town.
No, right,
meeting
but if it
or-
does have to go
or
to
the
town
Board of
meeting, we're having a
Selectmen.
town meeting in a couple of weeks.
Well, under any
We're hoping.
circumstances, this board has to refer to the town meeting, right? So I guess there could be a special meeting.
There's
I'll leave
gonna
that
have
to the
to be.
first selectman.
Well, the only reason I'm asking is if not, the next town meeting's not for a year from now.
Well,
That's
Unless
or
something else
whatever.
pops up that we have to have.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
town's gonna have some business that it's gonna have to address at a
Yeah.
town meeting.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
right,
so he will,
but I'll have the
He'll
answer to the
confirm
first
that.
selectman by Friday.
He'll confirm that. Okay, we've got that. I'm still holding off on the creation of the group because until we resolve what the final outcome is going to be, because that's probably going to require another special town meeting. We will keep that one on hold. The grants, obviously Leslie is not on our meeting tonight. She is doing well, but just was not comfortable enough to be on the meeting tonight, so. I did ask Jen to kind of give me a quick update. Basically, all of our grants are in motion. Some of them completed. We're just waiting for reimbursement on parts. So it's kind of like a moving target with all of them. And, you know, we will, keep things moving along and getting our projects done. Before you leave, take a peek through the window in the gymnasium. You can probably open the door,
No,
but we have all new pads up, we have the addition. So we are getting there, it's in the home stretch, the floor is,
I will quickly update
Yeah.
that. So the gym project, they're doing the floor starting Thursday, the floor should be done by Monday. And then we're opening, we'll be open for summertime, which will be in 2 weeks or whatever. And if you guys wanna pop in the door. It came out very nice. It's coming along very nicely. It should be done like say in a week or two.
Yeah.
The steep grant, we paid up at the recycling, got all that done. We're doing the second phase. Rob almost completed the paperwork next week for the DPW edition, so that'll be done. Other than that, Brown Hill Road, we don't know. The Laurel Grant, we're up and running. We replaced all the doors, or some of the doors. We've done a lot of work on all snow.
baby steps, but it's coming along.
Baby steps.
I do have a couple of other things, for other. I know the tax collector had approached us last week, I believe it was, with regard to potentially putting an ordinance together that there is a state statute, which if a tax refund is under $5 or below, the town or municipality does not have to return it. Because with all the administrative fees and the postage and the paper and it comes out to being more than the $5 by the time we're all said and done with it. So, bringing an ordinance to town approval so that the tax collector does not have to return any refunds of $5 or less.
It was just emailed to you. It'll be an amendment, proposed amendment to chapter 184. It'll become the new Article 12, tax bills and excess payments less than $5.
Okay, so, Bob, can I have a motion that we can address that to our next meeting to recommend to a, or can we recommend it now to a town?
We can recommend it now. I mean, let me just, so the board has it. It's very short, and it's modeled after every other municipality that's obviously modeled after each other. So it would be, an amendment to chapter 184, taxation. It would become a new Article 12, new Article 12, which will say tax bills and excess payments less than $5. Section 1 will be the retention of excess property taxes less than $5 pursuant to the Connecticut General Statutes, Section 12-129. And the language of the ordinance would read, the tax collector is hereby authorized to retain any property tax payment in excess of the amount due, whether for principal, legal interest, penalties, or fees, provided that the amount of such excess payment is less than $5. Section 2 would be waiver of property taxes less than $5 pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 12-144C. And the section would read, the tax collector is hereby authorized to waive the payment of any property tax due in any amount less than $5. That's it. All right?
Thank you. Okay. We will
So
bring that, we will
you can
bring
refer that
forward.
right to the town meeting.
Yeah, we will, motion to refer that, Bob,
I have a motion so we can discuss it.
second, okay, go ahead.
Vin, what, I know Orange had, passed this, when, the selectmen passed it in Orange, but there was a lot of discussion. Did they use the $5 figures or did they do a different number?
Well,
In their charter?
No, well, no, it's $5 because the statute doesn't allow. So the tax collector is not authorized to negotiate, settle, or reduce any taxes, right? Because although they did that specifically because they didn't want to have deals cut for friends and family, right? But over time, there became a nuisance of these small amounts, someone overpays because they're trying to get the interest in for tomorrow, but it was received today. And so the legislature said, all right, if it's $5 or less, whether it's an excess payment or the town is owed it, the tax collector has the discretion, not the obligation, but the discretion to waive it. Right? So this is identical to Orange's.
I know there's discussion. I didn't know whether they had modified the numbers or not passed
Yeah.
one half or the other, but they passed both halves.
I'm confident they did, but this, again, you don't have the authority to go above $5. The statute is specific, it says $5 or less. So, And this has not been modified. This has been around for quite some time, notwithstanding that dollars have changed over the years. So it's still only $5.
Yeah, I'm okay sending it to the town meeting. I'll have to look up what Orange did. They might have said something like, well, you should give people their money back or something like that.
Well,
I thought there was something that they changed about.
you know, I mean,
the proposal.
the issue here is the cost of administrating these types of excess payments and,
Mhm.
you know, charges, just, it becomes not worth it. You know, once you include the stamp, you know, you're already at 50+ cents. So I don't even know what a stamp is these days, but, I think it's at least 50+ cents.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's 10% of the $5. So,
We're just trying
Yeah.
to make things a little more streamlined and easier for the tax collector.
and this was requested by the tax collector.
Yeah, she came in to request us to move this.
Okay, well, it'll go to the town meeting and people can
Yeah.
decide if they,
All in favor? Aye.
I,
Okay, we'll move it forward to the town meeting. My other piece to bring forward would be the abutters for that gift of property on 829 Litchfield Turnpike. Just so you know, Mr. Ricco has passed away, but his wife is still on board with working with the town for the 0.2 potentially of that piece. And I don't know if you were able to get a hold of the
Not
other
yet.
woman.
Not
Okay.
yet, but
We will
yes.
continue to reach out to her. Her daughter seemed enthusiastic
Yeah.
about it, so
Particularly after she heard that, you know, it was gonna be.
we'll make it a
it was-
conforming lot, yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay, so basically what I want to bring to the town meeting is the town's permission to work with the abutters to split this gift so that it brings brings a
Madam First Selectman?
Yeah.
First, just because we have process, so.
Yep.
And this may sound cumbersome, but it's still process. So we referred this to the zoning commission originally under 8-24 because we were receiving this gift. Now, we're going to be disposing of real property that will be owned by the town. So unfortunately, the first step is to send it back to zoning under 8-24. The question is slightly different.
Okay,
But maybe they have because they have a special meeting tomorrow. Maybe,
it's their regular
well,
monthly.
no, I mean, they have a regular meeting tomorrow. Maybe we can get them to add this to their meeting tomorrow. So you refer to them today. They can do it tomorrow. You can then, after you make this motion, you can then refer to the town meeting. So you can still make the town meeting. But it has to go to zoning
Okay,
under 8-24,
all right, so you can, we
right?
will
Because
work on,
that sets the vote at the town meeting.
okay, but then we will work on the wording to get to B and Z.
Yeah, I will
Or
have
under
that.
other or new business for them tomorrow. Okay,
yeah, I don't need to know that you need to get the town meeting to approve having you talk to the property owners. It's only actual,
No, This is
whatever
the
the,
disposition of the property. This is, we want the town meeting to either vote yes or no, that we should convey what has now become municipal property. You know, 1.5 acres, as follows, or not 1.9 acres.
Yeah.
0.2 to the Riccos and 0.7 to the owner to the other side.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is, we have one property that has a setback issue, that's the Riccos property. So 0.2 will resolve the setback issue, so now we have no longer any zoning issue there. And on the other side, it's a 0.8 acre parcel, which has a tired house on it. And it needs renovation. By referring 0.7 to it, now you have a 1.5 acre parcel, which become a conforming lot. And so someone could eventually take down that house and conform to our zoning regulations today. So we go from 3 lots, none of which conforms today, to 2 conforming lots.
well, hopefully before the meeting, you'll have confirmation that the other lot will accept the,
right,
Yeah,
so the
right.
town meeting will be donating or giving the property to
Right.
the two. property
exactly,
owners.
exactly. It'll be conveying without expense to the property owners. But I've spoken to the tax assessor,
Yeah.
and the tax assessments on each parcel will go up. And it will be about $1,000 a year tax and, you know, that
Revenue to the town,
to the town.
the way it's split, so. So, okay, all right, and we are most likely going to have a special special Board of Selectmen meeting after the Board of Finance meeting on the 11th, so. We
Okay.
can
Okay,
confirm
we
any
did
of
that.
these, issues at that point.
Okay.
And I think that was all that I had. Yes, refunding excess payments, the dogs. Bob, did you have anything?
Nope.
No? Do you want to make that special motion?
Move adjournment.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, 7:06. Thank you for attending virtually, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes.